Mic check. Mic check. See how this Korea internet holds up. Give me a second to make sure I'm sounding good. Still can't hear myself. Oh, there we go. I hear myself. Sound pretty good to me. Does it sound pretty good to you? Does it sound pretty good to you in the chat? It's been a minute, It's been a minute, my friends. It's been a damn minute. Let me turn this music. It's been a damn minute. As you can see, my humble living accommodations behind me. But I'm out here, man. It is. What time is it? It is 8. So it's almost 9 o'clock Korean time. Saturday. That's right. It's already Saturday here, and I know it is. I think almost 7 o'clock p.m. Friday night for you guys back in the state. If you're Central Time, if you're Eastern Time, then just up at an hour, obviously. But what is going on, everybody? It is your boy POLK, a.k.a. A-Lo, a.k.a. the goddamn truth. It's been a while since I've said that, hasn't it? Man, a lot of stuff has been going on. And I'll be honest with y'all. I haven't been able to follow everything. I really haven't been able to follow everything that's been going on in these streets. I followed a lot loosely, but I know the spring game is tomorrow, which would be Sunday for me. So I am going to do, I don't think I'm going to be able to watch it live. I don't know if I got to figure out how I'm going to watch it in the first place. But I am going to do another live tomorrow as we probably around this same time, because by this time the spring game should be done with, and we're gonna go over it again. We're gonna do it all over again. We're gonna talk about what happened in the spring game. But man, transfer portal, a lot of optimism. Obviously, this time of year, every team is optimistic, right? But FSU obviously feeling pretty good about quarterback, feeling pretty good about just everything that I catch is, for the most part, man, a lot of positive vibes going on around the fan base, from what I can see anyway. I've gotten to the point where, quite honestly, I've tend to tune out most of the BS. So, shout out to Jeff, man. He says, welcome back. Go Knowles. Jeff with a $20 dono. Thank you, Jeff. It's been a minute. So it's good to see the familiar faces in the chat. Appreciate everybody who's usually here. Matter of fact, I don't even know why. Actually, this I can tell it's been a minute. Let's do a roll call real quick. Let's shout out everybody who's riding with me. Most of y'all have been riding from day one. Island Boy, Peter Shields is in the building. Vontae B, Kristen Ball, Jeff. I ain't even gonna try it, but my man right here, Zozuki in the building. Terrell. I don't know if I said you already, Terrell, or not, but it's all good. Till Dog, Gabriel Rodriguez, Richard, Matt J, all in the building. Till said, am I slimming down? I don't feel like I'm slimming down. Eating all this Korean barbecue out here. But if I am, thank you. But once again, man, thank you, Jeff. Thank you, Jeff, for the $20. And of course, got to bring back the old classic. Yeah. Shout out everybody, man, who showed up here today. So I don't even know where we want to start, honestly. Let's start with some transfer portal stuff, just because I'm pretty sure everybody knows this. This is obviously late on my part, but Greedy Vance has hit the transfer portal. Obviously, this is what we do, right? The most interactive show, but I give my thoughts and opinions. As far as Greedy goes, I'm not going to get on here and say any disparaging remarks about Greedy. Greedy played solid for us. Greedy played hard for us. Greedy came to us at a time where, it was the secondary depth I feel like was lacking, and he was needed. Unfortunately for an individual like Greedy Vance, FSU picked up the recruiting. And when you have Edwin Joseph, when you got Earl Little Jr., when you've got Ricky Knight, who ain't even been on campus, like when you have this influx of talent where you've completely raised the bar, unfortunately for a guy like Greedy, he just, in my opinion, was recruited over. I mean, most people at this point fully 100% expect Earl Little to lock down that spot, with probably Edwin backing him up. I mean, at this point, the writing was kind of on the wall for Greedy. Again, it doesn't mean that Greedy's a bad player. It just is what it is. Greedy hit the transfer portal. I think kind of surprisingly, I don't feel like FSU has had that many players in this second stint of the portal hit as much as maybe anticipated. Let me face the camera because I'm like half cocked here because I've gotta watch the chat. Let's talk to y'all. I think you won't see people really hit the transfer portal till after the spring. I legitimately think FSU is having competition throughout, up until the spring game. I think guys are competing, and I think after the spring game is when you'll see the bulk of the remaining guys that hit the portal, because FSU does need guys to hit the portal. Obviously, we loaded up in the first portal go round, and our sanctions came into play. We have not been able to contact anybody in like this first week of the portal, so that's been interesting so far. I didn't expect us to be super active. I think depending on, Matt J says about 8 to 10 should bounce. I mean, that number's probably accurate. We can kind of go over a list of theoretical names if you want to, of guys who could possibly hit. If 8 to 10 bounce, and they're definitely going to do work and bring in some more guys, right? So there's been some interesting names hit the portal this second go round. Honestly, though, I don't know if there's any names that have hit. There's a couple defensive linemen that I wouldn't mind FSU taking a swing at. One of the guys out of Houston, I forget his name. Another guy out of Louisville, I forget his name. So a couple of those interior guys I wouldn't mind FSU taking a swing at. But honestly, depending on who bounces, whether we get 8 or 10, whether there's only 5 or 6, I don't know. It'd be interesting to see where Florida State goes in this second wave of the portal post spring. I think post spring is where you're going to see some guys, where you're going to really see some guys. Obviously, I won't say that position battles will be locked in, but obviously, whoever we see kind of starting in the spring, you can kind of take that into the fall. So, I mean, let's do that. Let's see. Who do we think? Let me bring up the roster real quick. Who do we think? What are some potential names that hit the portal post spring? Going to be very interesting. So I'm looking at it. I'll just go down the list here. Obviously, I don't think with the injury to Dustin Hill, which is something, obviously another piece of news or whatever to talk about, Dustin Hill actually being out for the entirety of spring. I think this happened like a couple weeks ago, if I'm not mistaken. I don't know the severity of that injury. I've heard different things on whether it's how super serious it is. Could it be season threatening? I don't know. A lot of rumors. I'm pretty sure some of y'all have heard more accurate information than I've heard 7,000 miles away. With that said, as I'm looking down the roster, no, Ja'Kai Douglas is good. Obviously, Earl Little's not going nowhere. Shaheem Brown not going nowhere. Again, with the injury to Hill, I don't think a guy like Tron. I think his veteran leadership will be valued in that room. Cam Davis, come on. Knowles, I personally still think Knowles is a candidate. I just talked about it with Greedy Vance and about being recruited over. Kevin Knowles is in that same secondary. And if we're being a buck, where does Kevin Knowles fit in? You don't bring him back to the slot because, again, we talked about Edwin and we talked about Earl. And just a quick disclaimer on my part, or a note that you should. I don't 100% think Earl Little doesn't play opposite of Cypress. Not Cypress, I'm sorry, AZ. Don't be shocked. I think I said that when we got him. I know everybody's penciling him in the slot. Look, I think Earl Little has all the talent in the world to play opposite at either field or boundary. So for me, where does Kevin Knowles fit into this group? You keep him at safety? Well, if the play last year is any indication, I don't think you want to keep him at that safety spot, not to mention the influx of talent at the safety spot and just in the secondary all around. As we go down the list, I think Kevin Knowles. So here, let's mark. Let's mark how many players we could potentially see hit the portal. So far, Kevin Knowles, I think he's the first one we said, right? Kevin Knowles. Yes, Kevin Knowles, first one so far on the list. We got Charles Lester, DJ, Farmer, Deuce. I'm 50-50 on Deuce. Part of me thinks with where this offense seems to be going in the vertical passing game, to me it seems like Deuce would be a guy that you want to keep. He's a senior, so. And he brings that 6'4" frame. However, it's interesting. We've kind of been waiting for Deuce Spann. You know what I'm saying? It's the Deuce Spann experiment. Now, we know last year he contributed more so on special teams. Is that going to still be his role? With a guy like Jalen Lucas, who's getting so much hype in camp this offseason. Does Jalen Lucas take that primary return spot from Deuce Spann? Deuce Spann is interesting. What do you guys think? Should we add Deuce Spann to the list? Do y'all think Deuce Spann will be in the portal? I think he's a legit candidate for the portal, but I also see why you would keep him on the team. So what do y'all think? Hit the comments up. I see y'all talking about Armello. We're going to get to all of these guys. But what do y'all think? Special teams, it's all Lucas. So do you think Deuce is out? So far we got Knowles. Do we think Deuce is out? Because I can see Deuce being gone. But again, I can also see him. I could also see him staying. Hold on a second. Okay. So I am going to, again, the Dustin Hill injury kind of says you probably, again, how injured is Dustin Hill? Is that going to the fall? Richard thinks Deuce is out. I kind of think, and then you're also bringing in Elijah Moore in the summer. Camden Fryer's been getting a lot of praise. Yeah, I'm gonna say Deuce Spann is out. I'm gonna agree. So far we got two players hitting the portal. Deuce Spann was really keeping a roster spot because of the special teams, but with Lucas basically locking special teams down, yeah, I think Deuce Spann might be on the way out. So far we have two players on the way out. Jaylen Brown, Darrell Jackson, Dustin Hill's hurt, obviously. Marvin Jones, he ain't going nowhere. AZ's not going nowhere. Keem, I don't think it's going anywhere. I'm very interested to watch Keem. Very interested to see, does he snatch, again, with the injury of Dustin Hill, who I hope he gets better and gets healthy, but can Keem come in and snatch a role here in this wide receiver room? I think the opportunity is there for him. Omar Graham Jr. Let's stop here for a second. Now, I don't necessarily think Omar Graham's going to hit the portal, but there's some linebackers in the portal right now. Would it be crazy for FSU to target some said linebackers and move on from Omar Graham? I don't think Omar Graham hits. He's only a redshirt sophomore. I get all of that, but this year is going to be a very interesting year for him. LT, no. Malik, no. Trevor Jackson, man, that guy's been making a lot of waves. The walk-on quarterback FSU got at the last minute on National Signing Day. That guy's been impressing a lot of people from what I've been seeing and hearing. So shout out to Trevor Jackson. Lundy, obviously, he did transfer. Now he's back, obviously. Brock Glenn, no. Pat, no. I don't even know who Michael Grant is. Conrad Hussey, no. Sione, no. Lucas, we just talked about. Kai Bates, no. Luke Cromenhall. LaWayne McCoy. I forgot about a guy like LaWayne McCoy. That just makes my Deuce Spann thing feel even better. I think Deuce Spann is probably on the way out. Let's see. I'm trying to find some more names here of guys. What about a guy like Vendrivius Jacobs, as we talk more wide receivers? Didn't play out as a freshman. I don't think he goes anywhere. Personally, I think FSU is going to keep him around. But you never know. He might feel like he needs to be used more. So you never know with him. You got Blake Nichols. Darian Williamson, man. Darian Williamson is a guy who I've been talking about, I don't know, I feel like for years. Like if we say Deuce Spann transfer out, I mean, at what point is Darian Williamson? You keep telling me every offseason that Darian is X, Y, and Z, yet every season we don't see any of that on the field. We see splash plays every now and then, but when a guy can't play more than 2 games in a row, it's hard to say what he is. Me personally, I'm going to put him on here. So that's 3 players so far. I'm going to say Darian Williams should. I think FSU could kind of cut bait. If you want to free up some scholarships, let him go somewhere else. Devontae Brown, Cypress, Kirkland, William. A lot of people, Keziah Holmes is getting a lot of mentions, man, when people keep talking about the transfer portal. Me personally, he's a redshirt. I did not know Keziah was a redshirt senior. So he kind of needs this. I think him and Roydell is a good 1-2 punch. I don't think Keziah hits the portal. Do I think a running back could hit? I think that running back that hit is already hit. I think Rodney Hill was the one guy you would lose out of that room. Because Danzy's not going to be ready year 1, I don't believe. It's going to be the next year where a guy like a Sam Singleton or somebody like that might hit the portal. But I think this year, Danzy's going to be redshirted. I think you're going to have a 3 running back room with Keziah, LT, and Williams. And then you need the quality backups. Like Jalen Lucas will be used in spots, obviously more of a special teams guy. I actually think they'll put him out wide some. And then Sam can come in case of injury. So as of right now, I don't think I don't think we get another running back to hit the portal. If we do, they obviously will. I think they'll bring in another guy out of the portal. Ashlyn Barker. I don't think he hit. I think I'm interested to see the development of this. I've talked about this guy for a while. Wasn't so big on him coming out. But when you look, again, his measurables, what he brings to the table, kind of built like Hampson Nasruddin at 6'3", He's a very big, long safety. Could move him in the backer, I think, if you wanted to. I'm interested to see Barker where he ultimately goes. But he's got some physical tools. Let's see what happens here. Sam Singleton, man, we just talked about, could potentially be a guy. But I'm not going to put him on the list. Jabril Rawls, DeMarco Ward, Peter Warwick Jr., who I don't even think's on a scholarship. Edwin. Let's see, man. Jaden Jones. Interested to. We know who the starting two DNs are. Jackson West. I want to talk about Jackson West. I want to give Jackson West this much love, because we have a habit, at least FSU media has a habit, of hyping guys up because of a spring game, and then you never hear. Anybody remember the name Tafasi? Yeah, hyped him up all last offseason, only for him to now be transferring again. I'm going to say Jackson West because the media has said how great he's been this offseason. If you ask me, Jackson West should have been in the portal 2 years ago, but that's neither here nor there. I'm just going to show him that little bit amount of love. I'm surprised he's even still on this damn roster. But I will say tight end room is probably a room where you don't take any hits because outside of Morlock, you're young. Well, actually, Jackson West is a redshirt junior, so you're not young. Look, you know what? Bump it. I'm sticking to my guns. Jackson West is going on the list. That's 4 players so far that I think should hit the transfer portal. Jackson West is on the list. I tried to give him some love, but just my common sense won't let me do it. I'm sorry. My common sense won't let me do it. I tried. I really did. Let me hit to the comments. I haven't been looking at comments. Staff loves Omar. Mike likes the room. The boss has spoken. What room are we talking about here, Matt? You think Brock Glenn is going to hit the portal? I hope not. Not yet. Not yet. Williamson gone. I think he should. What up, Mr. Wolf? Montre was good. Hey, appreciate you, Montre. Project Dynasty says, I'm scared about our wide receiver room. And DJ being under 60%, should I be worried? We'll circle around. We'll circle back. I'll circle back to you. Thank you, Sport Mark. Jackson West just recently signed with the Battles. I did see that he did recently sign with the Battles, and I absolutely saw that. But again, man, those things aren't binding. He should hit the portal, bro. But that's just, What do I know? Robert Scott, man. I'm going to put him on my list. In my opinion, Robert Scott should hit the transfer portal. And Robert Scott is the same. Robert Scott is the offensive line version of Darian Williamson. You can't play enough to be outside of what? Robert Scott's freshman year and half of his sophomore year. Robert Scott can't stay on the field long enough to be an asset. He stays hurt. He has not competed at all in the spring. Right? At this point, is he not just eating up a roster spot at this point, in all seriousness? I like Robert Scott a lot. I think he's a funny young man. I know he does art. I know he can draw. I think he has some of the best interviews. I think he has underrated charisma when he but that ain't got nothing to do with on the football field, right? And I'm just talking on the football field. Well, damn it, he plays about as much as I do. I think they should move on from Robert Scott. Give him a medical DQ. I don't know, but I just think they should move on from Scott. And I understand why they wouldn't, because of everything. And Robert Scott was really the first offensive lineman they took when Mike got here, and he's been the linchpin of Alex Atkins and developing, and he was on a great trajectory at one point, but injuries have derailed that, man, and just so I can understand keeping that loyalty to it. But if we're just talking business, I would move on from Scott. Shout out to Robert Scott. Jalen, guys like Jalen Early and Julian Armella are getting talked about. My problem with that is if you move on from one of the two, we like to rotate. Atkins likes his depth. I think both guys stay. I don't think either guy starts, obviously, but I think both guys may get some quality reps this year in the rotation. Byron Turner, I think Byron Turner's probably the first. Him and Sione, probably the first two ends off the bench. So I think Byron Turner's probably good there. Aaron Hester's another guy who I've talked about a lot. And the problem with Aaron Hester for me is I just don't know where he fits in. He's an undersized defensive end. Maybe he's too big to stand up and play, traditional backer. What do you do with him? What do you do with them? Maybe you keep him on just for be a special teams player. But so far, man, we got 6 guys that I think should hit the portal. Aaron Hester probably is one of them. Let's keep moving. Bryson Estes is probably another candidate to hit the portal. A guy who I've rooted for his entire time here. But that man can't crack the lineup, which is crazy. He can't crack the lineup. Man, I'm almost positive Estes probably hits the portal. That makes 7. You want to talk about an offensive lineman? Again, I think Julian. I think Early stay. I think Estes probably goes. Let's keep it pushing here. Courtney. So look, man, either Brian Courtney or Jackson West got to go. One of these two some little guns got to go. I think Courtney stays. Just the guy I want to throw in there, though. That might be it. So I might have hit 7, unless you guys can think of a couple more. Yeah, that's all I got. Maybe Dante Anderson? Maybe. I don't know. Tell me who am I missing? So I just nailed 7 guys that I think should probably hit the portal. Who am I missing? What's up, Gator Hater? You think DeMarco Ward could hit the portal? Okay. I won't argue that. FSU brought in they brought in linebackers. I don't know. Outside of Murphy, I don't know. You feel me? But, okay. I don't know how good the guys are they brought in, if we're being honest. I heard they were moving him to guard. You could be right, though. Armella could be on the way. You could absolutely be right. We'll see. We'll absolutely see what happens. I think I'm going to say this. This might be controversial, but I'm going to say this. If Armella and Jalen Early hit the transfer portal, you guys might not want to agree with me. Some of you might already be knowing where I'm going with this. The recruiting class that Alex Atkins got praised for the most, if Early and Armella hit, or even just one of them hit, would absolutely not even be on the roster anymore. Quayshawn Sapp, gone. Kanaya Charlton, gone. I'm missing. DeAndre Richardson, gone. Early and Armella were your 2 4-stars. Well, I think Sapp ended up being a 4-star too. But Early and Armella were your 2 highest rated guys in that recruiting class. All those guys are in the same class. We praise Alex Atkins for that class. That was going to be the class that was going to rehaul the offensive line. And now, granted, transfer portal exists. And we've still been able to reshape the O-line. Just, I guess, through a different means. And also the development of a Darius Washington being pivotal to the success of the offensive line. Maurice Smith he battles with injuries too, but when he plays, he's usually pretty good. Has been really pivotal to the development of the O line. But man, I don't know. I don't know how I feel about that if that class goes away. Like that's, or maybe it doesn't matter because of the portal. Maybe it doesn't matter anymore. I tend to still think it matters. So that's me. I don't. In a lot of ways, I think Atkins needs those guys to hit. In a lot of ways, I think Alex Atkins needs those two to stay and eventually get on the damn field. I mean, if he's the guy that we say he is, that's just my 2 cents on that. You think Powers is leaving? We could add that. If Powers leaves, I would say look out for Jalen Early to hit too. Those two came in together. There's a lot of talk that the only reason FSU even took Powers is because they wanted Jalen Early. Like those two are like best friends. So if Powers leaves, you might want to add Jalen Early to that, Richard. So, but you may be right. One thing about Powers is he's one of those guys who looks like Tarzan coming off the bus. I wonder if he can play like it. He's a big boy. You think Quindarius Jones might be out? I don't know, man. I like Q. We'll see. We'll see what happens, though. What's going on, Brandon? I agree, man. You got to have at least one guy hit. Again, that's Quayshawn Sapp, Dontre Richardson, Kanaya Charlton, Jalen Early, Julian Armella. And if you want to add Antavius Woody to that, you can to make a six offensive lineman. Antavius Woody was a tweener defensive lineman / O lineman. But if I'm not mistaken, when he committed, they recruited him as an offensive lineman. So you really got 6. 4 are gone. You got to have at least one guy out of that class be successful, in my humble opinion. Y'all. Y'all hit the like button, man. I appreciate y'all. I didn't expect to have 50 people in here. I'm not even going to lie to you. It's been so long since I've done a live. 50 people. That's a good showing in my book. Please hit the like button, y'all. I appreciate it. Brandon says it definitely matters. I think for Atkins' name to be a household name, we need to see a 3 or 4 year development. You got it. Well, I will say Atkins is hitting the point where this isn't a criticism either, but this is just the reality of it. I do think Alex Atkins is hitting the point where if he wants to take that next level, he's got to start putting some offensive linemen in the league. See, the good thing for him so far is that FSU was so bad. Our O-line was so bad when he got here. Any improvement has made him look like a god. The offensive line recruiting was so bad that what he's been doing makes him look like a god. But now we're 5 years in. Right? That's one of the reasons why I don't think they're going to let Robert Scott walk. Just because of the reason I'm about to say. But we're 5 years in. You got to start putting some boys in the NFL. Getting Darius Washington to get drafted is going to be a huge tick for Alex Atkins. Right? Jeremiah Byers, Keon, like this class, these guys that potentially are coming up is going to be big for him. Alex Atkins got to get some guys drafted if he wants to continue to be the guy that people have claimed him to be. But it's time now to start sending some guys to the NFL. And like what's been said in the comment section, you can't have an entire class. Thank God for the portal, because if this was 20 years ago, a 6-man class completely whiffing, that sets a program back. Man. But I don't want to spend too much time on Atkins. Again, I like it. Y'all know I like Atkins. And I rarely say anything. But y'all also know what I do over here. I tell the truth. the whole truth and nothing but the truth. Good, bad, or indifferent. I'm going to just tell you what it is. Just tell you what it is, man. Who else? What's up, Panama? How you doing? Thank you, Dan Squatch. I'm definitely feeling good about 24. Who? It's been a while. It's been a while. I don't know who the Crib Kane is talking about when he says you lose at least one QB, not including the kid who left before December. I don't think we lose any QBs coming out of the spring. So that's just me. As Doc Carter says, just a bad class. It happens. If you were talking about a 3-man class, sure. 6, you miss on all 6. I don't think that doesn't just happen. You can prove me wrong. You can show me where other schools or coaches have missed on 6 players, but a 6-man class, nah. Disagree on that. Let's move on. I'm done. I don't want to talk about Atkins no more. Again, that's just right. What's up, Jerg? Where do we go next, y'all? Well, again, that's why I think should hit the portal. I think you'll see something. I got about 8, so I think 8 seems to be the solid number. And then of course you can give or take a couple guys. Like on my 8, obviously Julian and Early aren't included, but you could include a Jabril Powers who's not included. So you could probably give or take about another 3. So you could see 10, 11 guys if everybody hits, right? I'm not sure if you see any big surprises, but as we know how the transfer portal works, you may definitely see a guy who you weren't expecting to hit the portal. So as always, man, don't get too caught up in the transfer portal because guys are going to go and guys are going to come. Guys are going to come. Guys are going to go. It's just the nature of the beast. So there's not a name that I think that would hit the transfer portal that I would be like shocked at this point. And I mean that. There's probably not one name. Even the guys I like the Pat Paytons and the Marvin Jones Jr., like if those guys decided, if Marvin Jones said, you know what, I'm going to hit back the portal. Okay. Did I want you here? Absolutely. But at this point, if you are crying, complaining about the transfer portal, you just enjoy pain and you're doing it to yourself. Man, I did a video and told y'all where college football was going. So y'all know what's up. Let's move on, though. Montre says we need about line to leave. You think at least one. Hester's going to be, I think, that one. I don't know anything about him. I think he doesn't get here till the summer, which is interesting, which tells me he's probably more of a depth piece, which also tells me that you probably will get a Bryson Estes or somebody to hit the portal. I think they brought him in to kind of compete at center, but if you're not going to be snapping the ball to your quarterback during the spring, again, I don't think, and this doesn't mean he's a bad player, but I don't think he really competes for a starting job. I think they brought him in here for a quality depth piece. Just how I feel about him. What's up, T? Tevin, what's good? How many next week? Well, again, like I said, I got about 8. Let's move on from the portal. We talked about Dustin Hill's injury. And by all means, bring up some other stuff in the chat because I don't even know everything that's going on because I've been out of the loop. But this is what I got. This is what I know or think I know or want to talk about. Man, yeah, and then we got, of course, you got the class still coming in the summer. let's preview this spring game a little bit, man. Let's talk about I think the late. No, you good? You good, Tony? We really just getting started, to be honest with you. We really just getting started. But let's talk about some of these position battles in the spring. And I think I talk to y'all about the spring every year, and I tell y'all it's a glorified practice, but there are things, in my opinion, there are things you can take out of the spring. But it's in certain position groups. The spring is not an indicator of your record. Let me say this in a nutshell. The spring is not a indicator of, or is not a projection of where your team is going to finish. What the spring can tell you, though, is who can play and who can't play, and I believe that. The spring ain't going to tell you if you have a good football team or not. It'll tell you how well they are preparing or prepared. But what I think you can take out of the spring is just individual performances. Let's rewind a year. You can go watch the video. I told y'all I didn't think Gilbert Edmond looked that good to me. Gilbert Edmond has already transferred out of the school. 1 year. I think he went back to South Carolina. Was a competent rotation piece last year, but wasn't the guy people thought we were bringing in. Tell me I was wrong. What's another player that I told y'all after spring that I wasn't too hyped about? He's still on the team. He's probably going to start. I hope he's a lot better than he was last year. But I told y'all after the spring, I don't see it with Jeremiah Byers. I don't see it at all. I think if you go watch him during the season, you can see what everybody else, or at least what I saw. I bring that up to say you can watch the spring and we can get a damn good feel for who can play, who can't play, and who can play but needs a lot of work. That's where my interest has always lied in. Not so much the score and what that's all garbage. You're not going to get a projection out of the spring in terms of record or where you're going to finish in the ACC and any of that. But you can get a gauge of who can play and who can't play. And so I'm interested to see guys like Murphy, Durage, if I'm pronouncing that right. I think the O-line and D-line battles are the best battles to watch during the spring. Not so much wide receivers and DBs or even quarterbacks. And a lot of that vanilla stuff is like, okay, whatever. But O-line and D-line is just head-to-head, man-on-man. And you can kind of see who can play. But you're not going to get much out of the running back room. Like, I wouldn't be surprised if there's probably a handful of guys won't even really play or play a couple snaps. But I'll be watching that O-line, D-line, a guy like a Lucas Simmons, if he gets out there. How's he looking a year into it? So those are the guys that I'll be watching. I think you can make a gauge off of some players when we start talking about just the position battle. So we talk about position battles that are important. Obviously, DJ is going to be the quarterback. The big question is going to be who is the number 2 guy. Luke Cromenhoek and Brock Glenn, I think, both got hurt. I don't know if they're going to participate in the spring game. I know they got hurt, but I don't think it was anything too serious. I don't know. So it's going to be interesting to see who's the second string guy. I don't think Trevor Jackson really competes with that. I know he's been getting a lot of praise, and it's going to be very interesting watching him because if he emerges, the next year's quarterback battle is the battle that's going to be fun. When they brought in DJU, it kind of quieted down the quarterback battle, obviously. Next year should be the one. If you got Brock Glenn and Luke Cornwell and Trevor all competing there, I know Luke was the big fish. Don't sleep on your boy. Don't sleep on your boy. Jackson might legitimately compete for that job, but next year, right? If you move on to running back, I don't think there's much competition at running back personally, though obviously I'm not at practice. But Toafili's going to be 1A, 1B. Roydell Williams, 1A, 1B. Now the question is going to be, is it Keziah Holmes? Does he walk? Do they then bring in another guy? Where's Sam Singleton in all of this? I think 1A and 1B is solidified, and I actually think Keziah is going to be in the mix too. I think running back is. And then there's Cam Davis, who I don't even know how I forgot about Cam, who I do think, and I think this is the reason why a lot of people think Keziah might be out, is because of Cam. I think they're going to slow play Cam Davis early, and I think by mid-season, depending on where Keziah is, I think it's obvious, right, that Keziah is probably that guy on the chopping block. I think Keziah starts the season, obviously, at Florida State. But if you told me by mid-season Cam Davis is taking his reps, I wouldn't be shocked. But that's all going to be up to Keziah Holmes. That's all going to be up to him. Where are we going now? Wide receiver. Again, we talked about with Destin's injury. Where do we go with the wide receiver room? Malik Benson is the guy. I think I saw a depth chart of the spring. I don't know how accurate that depth chart was. But I saw Tron and Malik Benson were kind of the two starters. I don't recall who was in the slot. My guess would be Ja'Kai Douglas. It'd be interesting to see if a guy like Vendravius Jacobs gets in the mix. Where does Jalen Brown go with all this? Is Darian Williamson and Deuce Spann even on the roster? What about LaWayne McCoy, Camden Fryer? I would not put a lot of stock in the freshmen. Historically, freshman receivers struggle. So your Camden Fryers, your B.J. Gibsons, LaWayne McCoy probably won't get a lot of burn. But that means Hakeem Williams is going to be asked. By the way, y'all seen the transformation of Hakeem Williams? Well, dude looks like a linebacker. I don't know if that's a good or bad thing. The optics are good. Can he go out there, run routes, keep his speed, and catch some passes? That's what I'll be waiting to see. But shout out to her. It shows that he's putting in work, though. Shows that he's putting in work. And I'm very interested to see where Hakeem is at in his second year at Florida State, because he's the receiver in the room that's got the biggest potential. He's the receiver in the room that can – you want to talk about Keon Coleman and Johnny? He's probably the guy that can be better than both of those guys. Right? He's the receiver in the room that has that type of potential, more so probably even than Johnny Wilson. Like he's the guy with with NFL aspirations, I would say. Tight end, we kind of talked about tight end a little bit. Morlock's obviously the guy. The biggest question for tight end is going to be, where does Landon Thomas fit? Is he going to be ready? Or are we going to have to get Jackson West and Brian Courtney until Landon is ready? Tight end's an interesting spot, too, for a freshman, because you're going to be asking him to block. Out of all the transfers FSU's had, if there's one guy I wish we could have kept, it's probably Biscuit, if I'm being quite honest with you. That's probably the one guy that I wish we kept the most. Is Marcus and Douglas. Because I just felt like he was coming on. He was finding his role. He could do all of those things. He could block, but also he was sneaky fast and had sneaky good hands. That's the one guy I wish we could have brought back. That's the one guy I wish we could have kept. I know everybody says, we never lost a Portrait. Look, their success at another school isn't an indicator of what they could have been at FSU, in my opinion. Me personally, I wish we could have kept Marcus and Douglas. He had a nice little niche fit in this offense. So we'll see. We'll see what Landon is, or does one of these other tight ends step up and fill the void until a Landon Thomas is ready. So we'll just see. We'll see where that evolves to. Offensive line, that's probably going to be the most beautiful position group to watch. I said this, well, it had to have been about 2-3 months ago, last time I was on live. But I said this then. I don't know if you can really pencil. You can't pick a starting five. The depth chart that I saw didn't have your boy from Florida even starting. So, which to me isn't a shocker. I kind of didn't want FSU to take him, but I understand why they took him. He's mobile. And again, you got veteran players on the O-line, which is always a plus. Only way I wanted FSU to take Leonard is if he would be challenging for the center job. Can he snap the ball? If what I saw is accurate, I love the guards. Well, Ferguson's we're gonna need to see, but you know how by now, if you're watching me, if you've been watching me for a while, you should know how I feel about Keandre Jones. I've been hyping Keandre Jones up since we picked him up. The stats prove it. The PFF grades, however much you like or dislike those, but they prove what I say I see. Keandre Jones, he graded the highest interior offensive lineman last year. I get it. He might not be the most mobile, but you can use Keandre. I think I've been saying it. I think he's the best interior offensive lineman we had. I'll stick by that this year. Ferguson's going to challenge that, and we'll see how much he can challenge it. But I love the guards, at least projection-wise. I love the guard play. So I'm going to be interested in watching that. The question is, who's going to back those guys up? Obviously, Leonard's probably going to back up one. Who is it? Julian Armella going to be the other backup? Do we have a backup for Maurice Smith yet? It seems like we can't move him. No one can beat him out. But then during the season, we always end up sticking Darius Washington in as the backup center. And I think Darius is probably going to start opposite of Jeremiah Byers. You know, it would be great, but I don't think Lucas Simmons is going to be ready on that O-line. But, again, the beautiful thing about that O-line is just there's a lot of names. There's still names that are coming in. There's a lot of talent in the room. To Alex Atkins, we talked about Atkins earlier. To his credit, the room is as healthy as – have we ever seen – when's the last time we've seen a healthy offensive line room like this? So, to Atkins' credit, the room is as healthy as it's ever been. I would love to see the guys that we brought in from the high school ranks start to develop into the players that we need them to be. So, my phone's ringing. Hold on. I don't know who that is. All right, let's keep it pimping. Defensive end. That's an interesting group. That could be another fun group to watch. Well, Marvin Jones, obviously, Pat. Sione, Byron Turner, Jaden Jones. Where's Dante Anderson fit in that mix? Does he fit in the mix? We'll find out. I think that's a very interesting group. That's not even counting some of the I don't think Amari Williams plays. We know he reclassed. I don't think he plays year one, but hell, who knows? He might. D.D. Holmes is another guy who they'll be getting in there. The defensive end room was never my worry. My worry has always been interior, which is where I think Durocher is going to play most of his snaps. But the defensive end group has never been my worry. And my interior has been the worry, and not the starters. I think that combination of Darrell Jackson and Joshua Farmer and Daniel Lyons. Am I forgetting somebody? I feel like I'm forgetting somebody. But that main combination is good. My question, those big guys tend to get hurt. Do we have the depth if a couple guys go down? That's what I'd be interested in. D-line is going to be really good. Norvell claimed that the Battle's End presser, MJJ and Pate have broke 20 miles an hour in camp. Yeah, we know they're athletes. I mean, I'm more concerned with when you're talking about my defensive end, their lateral movement. When's the last time you saw a DN just run 20 miles an hour in a straight line? You probably won't see it. You probably never seen it. More interested in their lateral movement, their agility, their bend, that type of stuff. But obviously having that first explosive step is important, obviously. So if there's one concern I have, I've been saying it, and I continue to stand by that, the interior depth on the D-line. Linebackers, that's the biggest question mark, I think, on the entire team. They got the bodies. So FSU has the bodies. It's the question of the caliber. And if I'm just being bluntly honest, you check the recruiting rankings in that room. There's two guys in that room that were like top 100, top 150 guys. I'll put it like this. There's two blue chip guys in that entire room. That's Murphy and Courtney. That's not the scary part. The scary part is once you get past those two guys, it's not that nobody else was a blue chipper. Go check the rankings of everybody else. Not only were they not blue chippers, you're talking about guys that were in the 600s. I mean, I've beaten this dead horse on linebacker stuff, so I don't want to come on and y'all haven't seen me in a few months, and I don't want to. I guess reopen old wounds and somebody tell me that linebacker recruiting isn't important. All that BS. At the end of the day, that's the biggest question mark for me. Theoretically, my starting linebackers need to be Brian Courtney and Murphy, and of course you got Lundy as the veteran leader in that group. You mix them through together, you got a good block. I mean, that should be, in theory, on paper, a good linebacking core. But we'll see. We'll see where that linebacking core, where it ends up at. I'm interested to watch it. It's the biggest question mark. They got a lot of bodies. Again, they got a lot of bodies. How much quality? They have quantity. I'm interested to see the quality of that room. I keep saying Courtney. I'm talking about Blake Nicholson, guys. I'm sorry. I'm not. I said Courtney. Courtney plays tight end. I'm talking about Blake Nicholson. They're the same person to me. I'm sorry. That's what I meant. Blake Nicholson, not Brian Courtney. Brian Courtney plays tight end. But you know what I meant. Blake Nicholson and Murphy are the only two blue chippers in that room was the point. Not Courtney. No, Courtney wasn't even the blue chip. Blake. Two, sometimes they say all white people look alike. Some people say all black people look alike. It is what it is. I confuse them all the time. I meant Blake Nicholson. Blake Nicholson is the guy I'm talking about. Him, in theory, him and Murphy should be the starters. Him and Murphy should be the starters with DJ in the mix. I don't know if I want DJ as a full-time starter. Just him playing alongside Bethune and Deloach showed you where DJ Lundy can be effective. I worry if we try to make him, a full-time starter. Again, biggest question mark in my opinion on the entire team is that linebacking core. Hold on, I'm just checking something real quick. And then we got, obviously we'll finish with secondary. Secondary might be the most talented group on this team. I don't know if anybody would dispute if I said the secondary is the most talented group on this team. Probably can't dispute that. So it's going to be very interesting to see. Can Cypress hold on to his spot? I think everybody's pretty much locking AZ. Everybody's pretty much locking AZ down as far as that one corner spot. Is it Fentrell on the other side? Is it somebody else? Shaheem Brown probably the only other player to have a spot locked in that secondary. But who's playing besides Shaheem? My guess would be Conrad, but could it be Devontae Brown? I hope not. Could it be could it be a Kirkland or somebody like that? So I think that safety spot is going to be an interesting watch. The other corner spot is going to be an interesting watch. But overall, as we know, secondary is probably the most talented group on the entire team. So whoever they put out there, I'm going to be excited about. My setup in the Bees, that's the only place you can live in Korea. So unfortunately, I'm ready to go to hell home. Secondary is going to be elite. Agreed. Is it good enough to keep Lester off the field? Yeah. Lester is 150 pounds, soaking wet. Yeah, it's good enough to keep him off the field. I'm not even sure Charles Lester is the best DB we picked up. I'm not even sure Charles Lester is the best guy we picked up. He might be. But the Kai Bates of the world, Howard, they all kind of have something to say about that. So I don't think I don't know. We could see him, but I don't think might not be a need to see the Charles Lesters of the world. But we'll see. We'll see what happens. I'll ride with DJ before Murphy. I just ain't seen it. Lundy's been getting reps, and he's offset his limitations. We'll see. Earl Little at nickel. Yeah, I know that's the common thing there. And on the surface, I don't disagree, but I've been saying it, and I'm going to keep saying it. I think Earl Little can play opposite of AZ. I think he's that good. He has that much talent. I don't know why we want to limit him at the nickel spot, unless maybe they just think he's a better fit there. I don't know. Obviously, I'm not on the coaching staff. But if you told me Earl Little won the spot opposite of AZ, and maybe you put Fentrell at nickel, I could see that too, quite frankly. I could see that too. William says, Adam Fuller, I need you to blitz the hell out of Cam Ward. Why, William? We're going to beat Miami regardless. You ain't got to worry about that. I'm just observant. Been there. Hopefully time passes quick. Yep. Yeah, you can. If you know, right? If you've been in the bench room, you know where I'm at. So yeah, absolutely. Kai Bates has had a really good spring. Little is Jamie 2.0 with the higher ceiling. Interesting comparison there. I'll have to see more before I can concur with that. So I'm not so sure I agree. But you could be right. You absolutely could be right. At the end of the day, y'all have probably seen more stuff than I've seen being over here. Y'all probably seen more clips. I'm pretty sure y'all been watching other people tell you all the good stuff that's happening. I haven't been watching anybody. So I don't know what the hell, honestly. Everything I know is just what I've been personally following. But I haven't even been watching anybody else's videos, man. I just been doing my own thing out here. Quayshawn Sepp, I saw, just hit the transfer portal again. For whatever that's worth, I hope he finds a spot for himself. That's unfortunate. Miami safety Caleb Spencer enters the transfer portal. Is he any good? I don't know. I don't even know who that guy is. I never heard of Caleb Spencer. I'm sure Miami will say he wasn't that good. And he might not have been. I don't even know who that guy is. By the way, Rodney Hill entered the transfer portal again. I'm just looking over the timeline and looking at all this news. Portal is a very interesting beast, man. It really is. Let's get back to the comments. Which wide receiver you believe wide receiver one? I'm going to go with, as of right now, I'm still going to go with Malik Benson. That was the guy. That was the guy who I said in one of my videos I did about top 5 or whatever. I think Malik Benson might start off the team, might start off the year like that. We'll see. I would love for it to be Keen Terrence, but we'll see. Again, I really think this offense is going to be like predicated on the long ball. So we'll see. Cam will take a knee at the end of the Knowles and Canes game. We'll see. We'll see. It's going to be interesting to see how we use the QB room tomorrow with Glenn and Luke out. Right. I got a question for you guys might know. What's the format? Is the spring game having the same typical format it's had the past few years with Mike Norvell here? Is it like one half actually like somewhat of a game, and then in that second period they're doing the funky drills and the celebrity coach game? Like, are we still doing that foolishness, or are we getting 4 quarters of good on good, which I'm pretty sure we're not getting 4 quarters of good on good. Rodney Hill's going to Arkansas. Good for Rodney. Same format? Okay. Okay. Same format. At this point, Vontae, no. I won't be streaming. I know I usually do a watch along with the spring game. This year, no. This year I won't be doing a watch along because this year I don't even know how I'm gonna watch it. I might not get a chance to watch it live. I might have to catch it after or something like that. So we'll see. Or I might try to put my VPN to use and see if I can catch it. So if we're still having a celebrity coaching thing, do we know who are those? Who are the guest coaches? Has that been announced? Which is true. I think I said that last year. It's more of a, we don't run the traditional spring game here. Not saying I don't personally like it, but I can't keep complaining about it for the simple fact that he's going to do it his way. And there's no point of coming on here every year and saying how much I don't like it. Corey Simon and Peter Ward. Okay. Peter Ward. Okay. Well, you already know I'm rooting for P-Dub's team. If those are the 2 coaches, I will be back mid-season. I'll say that. I'll be back around mid-season. You can stream it live. I didn't even know you had a deep Discord, Zoe. Hit me up. Hit me up. I mean, you. I think you follow me on most social media. Hit me up in my inbox, and yeah, that'd be dope. I need that. Matter of fact, hell, I need that. Hit me up. Travis Minor, Tommy Polly. Okay. So we're getting the former players involved. I mean, I like it. If you're gonna do that, I like that. Let's get some FSU legends on the field involved. Not who do we have the 1 year? Andrea Anderson or whoever that was. Like not that. No, don't care. Give me some former players in there. Maybe even some get Mickey. Get Mickey Andrews out there and let him coach a half? Like let's do that. Let's do some stuff like that. Not some ESPN shills. You feel me? I don't care about any of that. When do I think Sims takes over for Shannon? Great question. I haven't talked about that. That you just reminded me. Ernie Sims has joined the coaching staff. I think if this defense performs similar to last year's, I think Adam Fuller gets a shot at the job. When that happens, I do not expect, even though I always say Mike Norvell likes to hire from in-house. I mean, that's been what he does since he's really gotten here. Needed a new O coordinator. You went with Atkins. Everybody wanted him to go out and get a bunch of big-name OCs. He went with Alex Atkins. I think they will – to answer the question, I don't think Shannon gets the promotion is my point I was trying to make. Randy Shannon will not take Adam Fuller's job when Adam Fuller leaves. That's my opinion, if Adam Fuller leaves. And then that will then be the key for Ernie Sims. Rodney Sims. Who the hell is Rodney Sims? Ernie will then, I think, take over that job. But I think Pat Surtain might get the nod there to be a defensive coordinator if Adam Fuller was to leave. That's how I think that might play out if that happens. That's how I think that might play out. You got to also remember Randy Shannon's pretty old. So it might not even come down to that. Randy Shannon might just decide to retire eventually. But yeah, I think it plays out something like that. Something like that, I think, is going to transpire where Adam, especially if FSU has like a top 10 defense again, Adam Fuller gets a job somewhere. Instead of them promoting Randy either retires or goes elsewhere. You promote Pat, obviously promote Ernie, and then you would then hire another guys to fill those spots, hire another DB coach or whatever, however that would go. So I think Pat would be ready. Sure, I do. I think Pat does. Here's what I think Patrick Surtain is. He's more ready than your boy was when he got FSU's defensive coordinator job. And I'm forgetting it. Jeremy Pruitt. Jeremy Pruitt had no prior coordinator experience. I think he was the DB coach at Bama, right? So yeah, I think Pat is more ready than Pruitt probably was. So sure, I'm okay with that. I'm okay with that move. Because let me tell you what Pat does. He's got to get the players in there. Cromartie as DB coach. With Adam Fuller moving on, that might be the case. Cromartie has spoken on this before because he was very vocal in Mike Norvell's early tenure, and that may have rubbed coaches the wrong way on the staff. We may probably never see Cromartie coach at Florida State, at least while Mike Norvell's here. Or they can come sit down, talk it out, hash it out, and then maybe we could see it. But I think Cromartie I don't know if it was a Twitter space. I heard him talking about it. I don't know if it was an interview or he just tweeted it. But Cromartie spoke on the fact that, the relationship might not be that good because of some things that he said early on in Mike Norvell and Adam Fuller's coaching tenure. Comparing Pat to Pruitt is a bold take. I didn't compare them. I'm comparing their experience, though. At the time Pruitt got the defensive coordinator job, what had he proven to have that job? That's all I'm comparing. Pat's coached at the professional level, high school. I would argue, the resumes between Pat Surtain and Jeremy Pruitt up until this point in their careers, you might lean one way. But Pruitt did it, on the biggest stage and won a national championship. You can't take anything away from him for that. My hope is Fuller takes JP with him. I think we can do a little better there, I think we can do a little better there. My hope is that Fuller takes JP with him. If this is all hypothetical, obviously. That's kind of my hope with that one. Also, let's talk about some more transfer portal stuff. Ja'Cory Brown hit the transfer portal, which I think most people, or at least I think most people kind of saw the writing on the wall with Ja'Cory Brown. But it kind of became a big thing, not to make this a Miami thing, but, I talk about all this stuff anyway. It kind of became a big thing on social media because I find it funny that, man, the people that were riding Mario Cristobal like a rodeo show, all of a sudden, they not feeling it. And they had a lot of vocal things to say about Ja'Cory Brown not being – I think, not even being a fourth-string guy or something like that. I don't know everything, the specifics of it. The point is, the fan base may be getting tired of your boy. Maybe getting tired of your boy's stuff. We'll see. I think Mario Cristobal, man, just to give a quick Miami take, kind of. Mario he's got to do it. Mario can't lose, or should I say, he can't win less than 8 games this year. And I would argue 8 games is a little bit of a disappointment just for the fact of the schedule. They don't play anybody outside of what? Florida State, Florida. Florida should be. I'll tell you this. Let me tell you where the Miami season gets very interesting. If they freaking somehow find a way to lose to the Gators, that Mario Cristobal hot seat might be hotter than we think. If you lose to the Gators, first of all, that'll show that you can't beat a rival to save your life if you lose to the Gators. Second of all, the Gators aren't a good football team. We all know that. You brought in Cam Ward, a quarterback that I personally support. So I'm not going to sit here just because he joined the Canes to tell you that Cam Ward is not a good – I personally support Cam Ward. I think he's a hell of a quarterback. If Miami can't find a way to win 8 games, if you lose that opening game, I don't know, man. I think it's going to be very interesting for Mario. He better win the rest of them. He better go 11-1 if you lose that Gator game. That's going to be a very, very, very interesting thing to watch going forward. I think our rival teams, talk a little bit about the Gators, I think both of those teams have a lot riding on this year. The problem with Billy is I didn't know Billy was this bad. I didn't know Billy was this bad. I didn't know Billy was this bad. I don't think Billy's doing anything right over there in Gainesville, other than mildly recruiting at a decent clip. But the losses keep stacking up. Every time a kid transfers out of that school, they have some disparaging remarks about Napier and the way he runs that. His coaching ability. I didn't know Billy was as bad as he is. JB11 is pretty decent QB, but we had to lose one. Zoe says it's funny how the Miami fans went from you got to build through. That's kind of true, Zoe. I don't like. You notice the troll thing gets really boring and it gets really old. With that said, this isn't a troll. We're just speaking some facts here. I wish we would get past this whole. I really wish we would dead the transfer portal high school recruiting talk. If you are that stubborn that you can't watch what's happening in college football, that you want to still try to pick one or the other and say one's more, you can't even definitively say that one's more important than the other. How can you definitively say? And just to Zoe's point, if you're a Miami fan, and I know y'all rode the whole developing talent, how can you definitively say that one's more important than the other with Nigel Lee Kelly and Citizen, and I'm probably forgetting some guys. All these guys have hit the portal, but those are your homegrown talent guys. But because your starting quarterback about to be who? A transfer. Which is okay. Which is absolutely okay. A lot of your starting, the homegrown guys you put in the NFL, draft stock not that high. At some point, I wish we would stop debating it. You need both. And I would argue that both are equally as important. I don't think one's more important than the other. I really don't. I agree. I absolutely agree. I think Mario needs a 10-plus season. I think he needs that for sure. What if the Noles only win 8 games? So it doesn't matter what Florida State, obviously, as long as they don't finish with a losing record or some ugly 6. The reason it doesn't matter is FSU this year was already penciled in as a transition year post Jordan Travis. This was a transition year regardless. Now FSU is looking to not have a transition year. This is why they attacked the portal the way they attacked it. You restock, reload, so to speak. But FSU's already gone from 10 wins to an undefeated regular season. You feel me? So you want to throw 8 wins out there? Throw 8 wins out there. But we're not in the same boat. Mike Norvell is no longer in the boat that Mario Cristobal is in right now. This isn't a Florida State, Miami thing. This is a Mario Cristobal needs to continue to show the growth of his team. How much of that? I think the biggest problem from my standpoint on Mario is, yes, he improved records year 2 from year 1, but it did not look good. There's some games, Virginia, that you probably should have lost. There's still some ugly losses that Miami had in his second year. And the recruiting's great, has been great. But unlike maybe some other programs, y'all schedules also aren't very hard, right? So losing to the Georgia Techs of the world should be unacceptable. So I'm just interested to see where Mario goes. Billy is strong. I don't know what Billy is. He's not very good. The Florida schedule is brutal. There's a chance Napier is not even coaching Florida in November. That schedule's that bad. That schedule's that crazy. It's going to be fun to watch. I'm telling you right now. It's going to be fun to watch if Miami loses that game. Well, you might not be, and I respect it. But again, social media, the lines get blurred on what is reality and what's narrative driven. It's definitely has been a knock on Norvell from a specific fan base. Doesn't mean you might be a part of that fan base, but you may have not knocked it. But I'm telling you, that has been a conversation piece from your fan base on portal versus high school. No, I don't disagree. I'm not saying that. I think you're misconstruing kind of what I'm getting at. My point is, that's why we're not arguing portal versus recruiting for just the reason you just pointed out, John. Citizen never played, but he's a high school guy. Miami fans were hyping their high school guys. Nigel Kelly barely played for y'all because he stayed hurt. The point I'm making is let's stop the whole high school versus transfer portal thing. Because you got you guys that you recruit and they end up not. I mean, I just talked about earlier. FSU, Alex Atkins brought in that 6-man all O-line class. 4 of them have already left the program. In theory, that should have crippled the O-line in some aspect, but the portal exists. The portal exists that you can go get Keandre Jones, or you can go get Jeremiah Byers, or you can go get Ferguson and Leonard and Casey Roddick, and can't even believe I'm forgetting my guy's name. Guy from Notre Dame, guys, help me out. I can't even forget. I can't. You can tell, man. This Korea thing's got my mind all twisted. I can't remember his name for it, but that's my point is, you can use the transfer portal and still have a good football team. You did beat Clemson. You don't have to get defensive, but you didn't come close. I hate to say that, but Kevin Knowles gifted y'all to make that score look like a competitive score. Kevin Knowles really gifted y'all some BS. But you did beat Clemson. Can't take that away from y'all. I mean, Clemson wasn't a good. Duke beat Clemson too, by the way. So Clemson wasn't great. That should probably be FSU's hardest game. I think the thing about the Notre Dame thing is they always get this hype. I'm never really big on the Notre Dame hype. Notre Dame and Penn State, to me, every year going to the season, like top 10, they got all of this, and then the games get played. And they have good teams, but they're going to find a way to lose 2 or 3 games. But that probably should still be – FSU doesn't necessarily have a tough schedule themselves. Notre Dame probably the toughest game on that schedule. I'm interested to see how Fletcher bounces back from his injury. We talk about players. That's actually a guy that I am interested. He's got a bright future if they don't run him into the ground. Gibbons. Yeah, man, I couldn't remember his name to save my life. I don't know why. Don't do that, John, because how many missed field goals have we gifted y'all, or the record would be completely different, wouldn't it? So be careful. Be careful. Don't throw stones from that glass house, my friend. If we're gonna talk about gifted field goals, be careful with that. This rivalry looks completely different if FSU makes a few field goals, don't it? Don't it? Yeah, I know. Be careful. Matt thinks that this team will be a lot like the 2022 team. More explosiveness, better defense. 2022 team was a good team though. So it'll be very interesting to see. Was good. So anyway, so that's a little bit of what's going on again with the rivals. Like Nigel Kelly, interested to see where he ends up. Some people thinking UCF for Nigel. And I don't think the portal's stopping for any of these teams. Again, I think FSU's guys just haven't hit yet. They will. But I'm interested to see who else continues to hit the portal just across. Cromartie McLean. Haven't talked much about Cromartie. I haven't talked much about Dion. I actually considered doing a live stream on Dion and what's going on over there because it's not so much a transfer portal thing. Guys are going to hit the transfer portal. But what's happening? There's some stuff going on with that man, Prime Time. The way he runs a program is yeah. Might want to go back and watch that video on Dion that I did last year. A lot of that stuff is ringing pretty true, though I was called a hater by a lot of the Dion supporters in that live stream, if you go back and watch that. A lot of the stuff I said is coming to fruition. We'll see. But Cromartie McLean, I'm interested to see where he goes as he has hit the transfer portal. I think we called that one during the season when he wasn't getting any playing time. I think we kind of called that one. They're saying USF might be a potential landing spot for Cromartie. Of course, it's close to home, as he's from the 863. So we'll see where Cromartie ends up. If I could offer one piece of advice to McLean, stay off of social media. They did a Twitter live or whatever, and he's in this thing listening to these grown men bitch, moan, and complain about him hitting the transfer portal. Again, not Colorado fans, because the truth is Colorado fans don't exist. Outside of that state, Colorado fans don't exist. What you have is a bunch of Dion fans. And you got a bunch of Dion fans who are sitting there like cussing and all this stuff at this kid. And he's sitting there listening to it, trying to explain himself, as, saying y'all don't know that. And I'm thinking to myself, this is some BS all around. Cromartie shouldn't be in there. These grown dudes shouldn't care this much. It is, I don't even know. Cromartie, do what's best for you, obviously, in the fam. But stay off of social media, bro. I think everybody knew you made a poor decision that first time when you made it. You joined something, and I'm not saying he should have stuck with Miami, but honestly, he should have stuck with Miami, if I'm just going to keep it a bean with you. Because he chose flair over, it's hard for me to say substance, because it's not like Mario is putting great defensive play. I don't know, Miami fans about to get in their feelings. But he chose the flair of it all instead of going with probably the better situation for him, is what I'll say. He chose the flair of it all. No Squad thinks we lose to Notre Dame and Duke. Why Duke? You think Manny Diaz just has our number, No Squad? We've never lost to Duke before. I don't plan on us losing to Duke now. Duke just had their best freaking football team probably in the history of their program last year, and we beat that team. So I'm just curious as to why you think Duke. You could be right. Notre Dame, I think, is going to be a tough game. But why Duke, though? I'm just curious as to why Duke. Oh, USC, I think I think that's another place with too many distractions, man. I think he should go to Tampa. He should go to Ybor. That's where he should go. He should go to Ybor City. I think USC. I think LA is a little bit too much distraction for a guy who allegedly, I hate doing this because all the bad stuff doesn't come out until after a guy leaves, but allegedly in Boulder, Colorado, he couldn't go to class and make meetings. What the hell you think he's going to do in LA? Go to Tampa, bro. Granted, being close to home isn't always the best fit too, but Ybor City's Ybor over LA in Cromartie's case. Caveman, what's good? He says, do you think Deion methods are wrong because they're different from – no, I think Deion's methods are wrong. Well, I won't say they're wrong. We'll wait and see what's going to make Deion's methods right or wrong is ultimately how many games he wins. So we'll see where he finishes. I don't necessarily want to say they're wrong, but the problem is that everything just doesn't. From Deion Sanders going out in his interview saying, downplaying the kids that chose to come play for him, and then, of course, hitting the portal again, whether that's because they were pushed out or choosing to leave, but him getting on the interviews and saying, we ain't lose nobody, we losing backups. I think that's something a coach should never freaking do. So from that standpoint, I don't know how you defend or support that. But basically, without saying it like that, he's like, F them kids. We ain't lose nobody of any worth anyway. Like, that's wild in and of its own right. The way he's recruiting high school or the way he's not recruiting high school is wild. Him saying that he doesn't do in-home visits is insane. History tells you the in-home visit seals the deal on most recruitments. He's not even attempting it. It's hard for me to say it's not wrong, but we'll wait and see how many games he wins. He goes out there and in the Big 12 takes him to the Big 12 championship, or he wins 8, 9, 10 games in his second year in the Big 12. He can shut people like me up. I don't really foresee it. But to answer your question, I think his methods are questionable as of right now. We'll wait until after the season starts and when he starts winning and losing games and how that thing plays out. But it has nothing to do with just being out of the norm. He's doing some really, I don't know. He's doing some things I can't co-sign. He said, okay, he says we lose a dude because he thinks it's a trap game before playing Miami. Okay. I can trap game logic. I definitely get it. What's going on, D. Thompson? Yeah, Manny Diaz does have. He's not 3-0. You don't forget how quickly have you forgotten that 4th and 14 got Manny Diaz out of there and got y'all Mario Cristobal. So Manny Diaz is not undefeated against FSU, but does have a winning record. Got to develop a relationship with parents as well. He's trying to win right away. He said, I don't disagree. He's trying to win right away instead of taking 2 or 3 years to build a roster. I mean, I said that when he got hired. I said he's only going to be there as long as his son's there. People told me I was crazy for saying that. It's neither here nor there. I still don't agree with the methodology of it. That's the problem. Even if you are just trying to build out of the portal for the short-term success of the program, and then you're going to leave, you still don't have to get on the interview. You still have to get in front of a camera and a live microphone and downplay your players that have left your program. I can't. I have a hard time seeing how a parent or a player watches that, listens to the man basically saying, well, we lost a bunch of trash. The same man who said he got all his Louis bags out of the portal too, by the way. So his Louis ended up being counterfeit. Neither here nor there. So one of Deion's biggest problems is he talks. And he talks. And when you don't win, people are going to bring up everything you said. And in the era of the transfer portal, what he's saying might not necessarily be wrong, but is it the right thing to say about former players of yours? Just let them guys go and do their thing. I don't think you have to get online and basically say we ain't lose nobody anyway. So I don't know. He's doing things his way. If he wins games, I'll look stupid. If he doesn't win games, then there's going to be a lot of people that are going to be probably happy. Like I personally don't root against him. It's just hard for me to support the way he's gone about it, which is what I said the day he got hired at Colorado, and I just saw the way that things were playing out. And when I did that live stream on Deion and what's going on, that's what I pointed out. Like, I don't root against Deion Sanders, but it's very hard for me to support the way he goes about the process. No, I didn't say he said trash, and I know what he said, but also there's context to everything. You could either look at it on face value, or you could actually listen to the context in which he said it. He essentially said we didn't lose anybody of any importance. I'm just interpreting it my way. You can interpret it your way, right? No different than if trying to think. If somebody asks you about a girl and you go, man, she wasn't. She can be replaced. You ain't saying that she wasn't nothing or she ain't a good whatever, but the way you said it, the context in which you said it is going to be interpreted a certain way, as if, she good to go. Or if you say it a different way, then it gets interpreted a different way. If you listen to what he said, what did we really lose? Come on. He started laughing about it. What did we really lose? Y'all need to do y'all homework. What did we really lose? I mean, you tell me I'm wrong. You tell me I'm wrong. But we'll see what happens. We'll see what happens with Colorado. We'll see. We'll see. $87 people in here, man. Y'all really miss me. This makes me feel good. I feel all the warm hugs and love. Now make sure you hit the like button if you really love me. Please hit the like button, because that's gonna really show me that you love me. And share the video, obviously. Please share the video. Oh, wait. Stop talking. Shut up. No, I muted myself. Because, I'm looking, and I got 87 folk and half the amount of likes, which is wild to me. At least that's what Restream is showing me. 87 people's watching. That's a combination of YouTube. There's 64 people on YouTube, 23 people watching me on Twitter. So that means on YouTube I should have at least 60 likes. I don't know what we talking about. Give me 60 likes. Okay, Sarge, you can spin it how you want to spin it. For you, again, you interpret it your way. I'm interpreting it my way. At the end of the day, neither one of us knows what his thought process is. His thought process is when talking about his former players. My interpretation is, ha. Your interpretation is, ha, I'm getting more guys. Either one is you're still basically throwing the other guys to the side. So that's your interpretation. You think we see anything from Justin Cryer? Some of these linebackers, I don't really question the physicality, but I want to see the coverage. Well, I kind of talked about it a little bit earlier, Tony. That's the biggest question mark. I don't have anything to gauge these linebackers off of. Because in my opinion, they're all a bunch of projects. All of them. Most of them Most of them ain't even top 500 players coming out of high school. That doesn't mean they can't be good players. That doesn't mean they won't be good players. It's just hard for me to gauge that. How do I gauge DeMarco Ward against Justin Cryer when both of them were the 700th ranked player coming out of high school? You get what I'm saying? Linebacker recruiting, the linebacker position this spring, in my opinion, is going to be the biggest question mark for Florida State going forward. And I don't have a good gauge of what is what. So I'm glad to hear that Blake Nicholson's been doing his thing, because he's one of the guys who I can actually say, okay, that was a blue chip prospect. He should be standing out amongst his peers. You feel me? Blake Nicholson should be standing out amongst a bunch of linebackers who, again, just bluntly telling you the truth on that situation, right? Blake Nicholson should be standing out. So again, it's hard to gauge that room. I'm very hopeful that these guys outplay their rankings, but I gotta wait and see. I really have to wait and see. I haven't read one practice report because I don't trust them anymore. I like to see myself, people like you, and some other people I can listen to. Well, I appreciate it. And I haven't seen one practice report, obviously, because I'm way out here. But we'll find out. We'll see what we got this spring, I think. Again, there's certain things you can gauge from a spring game. Spring game ain't going to tell you the win-loss record. It ain't going to tell you if you're in the ACC title or not. It ain't going to tell you if you're making a playoff or not. But you should be able to see, like right here, like you should be able to see, can Cryer, that's not the comment I wanted, sorry. You should be able to see, can Cryer play? You should be able to see, can DeMarco Ward play? Or Hick Collins, or who, I'm missing some other backers, Judson Parrish. Like, you should be able to see if these guys can play, at least look like they belong on a Division I football field. He said, all I know is Cam Davis made Blake look stupid in a clip I saw. The ceiling and the floor from where this team reaching this year. Ceiling? I think anytime anytime you have a team that had an undefeated regular season, now granted, you're losing some stuff there. But FSU's been able to replace some stuff. Last year, I thought we were a one-loss team. We went undefeated in the regular season. I thought we were a one-loss regular season game. I thought we would lose to Clemson on the road, but get the rematch. That's what I thought. We ended up beating Clemson. A lot of it's going to answer Sarge's question a little bit, a lot of it's going to depend on DJU. The ceiling for this team, I'm going to go with, I think, what I said last year. I think the ceiling is a one-loss, whether that's Notre Dame or someone like that. And that can all change. But I have too many questions to really say like another undefeated season. Like the ceiling for this team, I think, is a 1 or 2 loss team. But I got to see how Marvin Jones Jr. and Pat Payton play off of each other. I got to see how DJ and the wide receivers play off of each other, right? I got to see how that O-line meshes with some new pieces. That linebacking room, we got to see how it, like, don't tell me linebackers aren't important, because without linebackers, you don't even beat Clemson last year. Like, your linebacking room freaking matters. So there's a lot of things I have to see. I got too many questions of this team just because we have so many new pieces that it's hard for me to go, like you say 12-0, 9-3. Like, I respect it, but it's hard for me to say that's the ceiling without seeing some of this stuff in motion. Because these guys haven't played together. This isn't last year where Jordan Travis has been at Florida State for 4 or 5 years. And Johnny Wilson was coming off of a damn near 1,000-yard receiving year. Then you added a piece. But the wide receiver room, for the most part, was intact with Johnny coming back. And Trey Benson was another guy who almost had 1,000-yard rushing. So there was a lot of continuity off of last year's team that made you think super high ceiling. This team doesn't have that same continuity. So it's very hard for me to go 12-0. What I will agree with is probably the floor. I agree with the floor. I think it's going to be very hard for FSU to lose more than 3 games. I think it's going to be very hard for FSU to lose more than 3 games. Because regardless, FSU will be more talented than the majority of the teams they play this year. Hakeem got to show us something. We'll see what he does. Second round playoffs at the ceiling. So national championship game is the ceiling for you then. Well, no, it's 8. Isn't it an 18 playoff this year? Damn, I forgot about that. I forgot about that. Isn't it an 18 playoff this year? That actually makes me say that playoff might be the ceiling. I forgot that they expanded the playoff. FSU may very well make a playoff. They seem to downplay a lot of the stuff we do, don't they, Matt? That's a very good year. You could probably add on a couple. If you threw 25-5, you probably could add on another 5 TDs on the ground. I think DJ is going to be very. I don't say this too lightly, but man, if you can use DJ like a Tim Tebow, he's got the size to do it. If we can use him like a Tim Tebow, it's going to be very interesting to see how FSU goes, how far he can take them. Really? I would be ecstatic. First of all, I'll be ecstatic if we're getting out of the ACC period. But if we land in the Big Ten, that's a lot of money going and pumping into this university. I think you should be happy about that. Brockton may end up being better. Hard for me to say. But no, you got to stop. You really got to stop. 12-team playoff, damn. Yeah, we can make the playoff. We can make the playoff even if you lose a couple games. I didn't know it was a 12-team playoff. Jeez. Well, that doesn't seem to matter no more these days, Al. Theoretically, yes, we should have to win the conference and all that good stuff, but we know that doesn't matter. Right. He's pushing the ball down the field, which means that underneath stuff should be open, right? And if he can use his legs, he can use that body, run some guys over. Like, it's not far-fetched if you want to figure out maybe the most effective way. Yeah. You can find a way to utilize his skill sets. How do you think losses will play a factor in the new playoff system? Your guess is as good as mine, caveman. I don't know. I know what I do know is that they've said that now every conference winner, or at least in the Power 4 or 5, I don't know. What is it now? Power 4? gets a guaranteed playoff spot. But after last year, bro, I couldn't tell you how they want. They're going to do what they want to do. And obviously, schools from the Big Ten, the SEC, they're going to get priority, as we've seen. So, in theory, let's go Penn State. Let's say Penn State loses to Michigan and Ohio State like they usually do, but win every other game. There's a good chance Penn State gets a nod at a playoff seed over it's a 2-loss team over a Miami. Let's use your school. Let's say Miami is a 1-loss Miami team. Whether that's they win the and to make this make sense, they're going to have to lose the conference championship game. So Miami's going to be a 1-loss Miami team with no conference title. They'll lose the conference championship game too. We'll just say Florida State because, of course, it's Florida State. Y'all lose the conference championship game, but you're only a 1-loss team. So that means you beat Florida State in the regular season, but you lost to them in the championship game. Do you trust a committee to pick Miami, a 1-loss Miami team, over a 2-loss Penn State team that you know Ohio State and Michigan is going to be hyped up? They're going to hype the hell out of Ohio State and Michigan. They're going to say Ohio State and Michigan. Or in this scenario, you can use Florida State and Miami. What if only one ACC is going to get that nod? Miami's going to have the argument, well, we beat FSU early. FSU's going to have the argument, well, we beat you for the conference championship. They're gonna throw Penn State in there just to shut both schools up. You feel what I'm saying? Like I don't trust the committee in these situations because there's no clear cut criteria for the playoff seeding except win the conference. But to everybody else, to me, it just seems like, well, it's whoever the committee. It just depends on whoever the committee feels like putting in. Depends if Cam Ward is healthy. Yeah. So I don't know if you're being funny or not, John, but I'm gonna take the bait here. If Cam Ward's not healthy, but Miami goes 10-1 or 11-1, sorry. Should a team get a playoff seed over Miami because Cam Ward is hurt at the end of the year? Just curious how you feel about that. In theory, yes, that should happen. But again, what if there's a 1-loss SEC team, 1-loss big, like some of these other conferences we know are going to get preferential treatment? Theoretically, in the 12-team playoff, it shouldn't, right? These problems probably shouldn't arise. I just have a feeling. I'm scarred. Last year scarred me. And we'll see what happens. Man, I did 2 hours and it don't even feel like 2 hours, man. You can tell it's been a while. I said the difference is 4 spots versus 12 spots. I hear semantics, bro. I hear what you're saying. I'm arguing with you. If you got left out, would you be mad? I get the 12 versus 4 spots. Everybody's banking on the 12 spots to save the sport. Here's the 13th spot and the 14th spot are still going to have an argument. Probably still going to have an argument. So the amount of playoff spots isn't necessarily the problem, or the solving it, or the answer to the problem. I'm simply asking you the criteria they set. Does it make sense? If Cam Ward is hurt at the end of the year, and the 12th playoff spot comes down to a 2-loss Miami team, a 2-loss Penn State team, and I don't know, pick another team. Don't really matter. But Cam Ward ain't hurt. And the reasoning is Miami not getting it. Is that fair to you? Because Cam Ward's not hurt. But maybe your resume stacks up better. I don't know. In theory, yes. I know in theory, like all of y'all are making great points of that, like, yeah, they should get both teams should get in. But as we have learned this past playoff selection, theory and logic doesn't, the logic of it doesn't always get played out, as the committee's going to do what they want to do. 5 conference champs get in. By then you take the runner-ups. That's 10. Then you got 2 left over. Again, in theory, you're probably not wrong. I'm not so big on the runner-up thing because, for instance, in one half, this doesn't help the conferences that still have split sides, split divisions. So in the ACC, you don't have that issue anymore, right? Because the 2 best teams are just going to play in the conference championship. But I believe like in the Big Ten, they still have 2. So you'll have undefeated Ohio State facing a 4-loss Iowa in the conference championship. Does that mean Iowa should get in the playoff because they was the runner-up? You know what I mean? NC State. Who's NC State's quarterback this year? Who's NC State's quarterback? I don't even know. I'll look it up, though. I legit haven't a clue. I'll look this up. NC State. Did they bring in a transfer guy? I know MJ Morris left. Brennan. Did you just say Brennan Armstrong? No, you can't be talking about Brennan Armstrong. NC State QB 24. I know you're lying. Who's their quarterback, guys? Does anybody know? Who's the starting quarterback for the Wolf Pack? Grayson. Okay, Grayson's the starting quarterback. Is that the guy from Charlotte? I'm not well versed in that young man's game, Grayson McCall. Coastal Carolina. Okay. I think the way Virginia Tech finished after last year, I think I could see why people would say that they're going to be an interesting team. Grayson McCall. Yeah, Grayson McCall. Yeah, okay. I done 2 hours strong. My throat's getting dry. I appreciate everybody who showed up, man. I didn't expect a bigger turnout as I got. Again, 85 people total watching me. That's 62 on YouTube, 23 on X, a.k.a. Twitter. Again, y'all hit the like button, man, on the way out. If you didn't hit it on the way in. I'm going to get back on here tomorrow. This will be post-spring, so we should have a ton of stuff to talk about after the spring game. Probably a bunch of stuff I still didn't even hit on here tonight. That's what happens when you go 2 months without checking in. There's stuff that I probably even forgot to talk about. But we're going to try to keep doing this more often, y'all. I'm going to try to get back in the swing of these live streams. I can tell that my absence has been, y'all appreciate me, and I just appreciate y'all for showing up. So, as always, man, it's your boy POLK over here on 863 Seminole TV. We're going to get back in the swing of this. We still the most interactive show on YouTube. I don't care what nobody got to say for the Florida State football fan and for the college football fan in general. Y'all stay classy, and we are out here. Go Noles, and I'll catch y'all tomorrow as we talk about some spring football.